As I told you recently, the world of television is very much a cutthroat world. It's all about ratings, star power, the biggest Winnebago, dressing room, whatever. If you're on top, they treat you ultimately like a god or goddess. But if you're sailing down, well, as someone's seen over here in the United Kingdom, things can go dramatically wrong. But what's always worse, it's said, is the behind the scenes of soap operas, those daily dose of glamour on the screen that we like to sit and watch on prime time. It's all about, I figure, as well, the big shows of the 1980s that we all loved, like Knots Landing, Falcon Crest, Dallas, Dynasty. It was always rich people falling out, and no matter how glamorous or how exciting their life seemed, it was never enough. And then there was a breakthrough in the early noughties, the rather controversial and rather racy Sex in the City, making stars out of many of the ladies who were fortunate enough to appear in it. But as they call this thing in the modern day era now, not a new series, but a reboot, there's a brand new version of Sex in the City called And Just Like That. But seemingly they couldn't get all the real stars back on board. The one that everybody liked, Samantha, played by the beautiful Kim Cattrall, a Liverpudlian-born actress, well, she didn't want to reunite with her best chums on the small screen again. But of course, this is desperate times, as I often say here on the show. And the bottom line is, you see, the producers, the moneymakers, the backers, the channel, they all need what they need to make the show a success. But nothing dangled in front of Kim could make her return, quite literally, even though we're offering lots of books. But here's where the story gets really interesting, because Kim is now going to be popping up in a very small cameo for the new series called Just Like That. And of course, the main star of that show is none other than Sarah Jessica Parker, a lady I was lucky enough to meet at a London theatre. Very nice, very engaging, and very sweet and down to earth. But of course, a very shrewd business person as well. And as the executive producer of that show, would normally have the final say. Until this. According to a very good source placed on the Darren Star, well, created show, they got Kim Cattrall back, but what they decided to do in order to not get any, shall we say, difficulties on set, was to make sure that Kim's cameo was simply a phone call never speaking to her former co-star, Sarah Jessica Parker. That bit was easy. But according to another very good source placed on set, nobody bothered to tell Sarah Jessica until it was in the can, for fear that she would explode, and more importantly, not want that particular segment featured in the show. As I say, you see, the advertisers, the backers, the people that count to make these shows a success, well, they are the people that say yes or no. Of course, a little bit of gentle persuasion, and once it's leaked out to the media, it would seem rather recourse now, wouldn't it, for Sarah Jessica to say she didn't want it in it, or indeed they were going to cut it out of the final edit. So Samantha does return. The problem now for the producers is it's so exciting for the fans that they'll want a return again of Samantha. And how many phone calls can you fill? Of course, moving forward, there's always the offer of more loot. But then there's the bigger problem of on-set feuds, star billing, special guest star, and of course, the length of screen time and the length of shots. Oh yes, it goes right down to that. The divas of Sex in the City. Trust me. The bottom line is it remains to be seen if Kim Cattrall will say yes one more time to returning on a lengthier basis. But which either way you look at it, both Kim Cattrall and Sarah Jessica Parker may appear friendly on screen, but behind closed doors they're still at loggerheads. Certainly no great friendship the way it's portrayed on the small screen. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.